All right, so I am in New Boston in Scioto County. I don't get out this way very often, but I'm here with State Representative Justin Pizzulli. So for those of you in Clermont County, we have a state senator in our district, Terry Johnson, and there are 3 state reps, Gene Schmidt. Gene, why are you running? Don't you think it's kind of dumb to be running? Adam Byrd. Mr. Byrd, can you take a few questions?
What?
Can you take a few questions?
Don't really want to.
Okay, well, okay. But you didn't say no. And Justin Pizzulli. He's the eastern part of our district. And you know what's funny? I know you guys have had some mixing it up on, candidates for your office. But, I talk to Nick Owens on a regular basis, and he says, you know what he says about you?
What's that?
That you are a gentleman.
Oh, I don't know.
That is his recurring word, that you are a gentleman.
Well, he's a gentleman and a scholar.
He is, everybody wants to have their own state rep, but you're the state rep, and you live here in?
I'm in Scioto County native, and I grew up in Franklin Furnace.
Okay, and Franklin Furnace, where's that?
So it's about 20 miles east of here.
Okay.
And it's on the edge of Scioto County. It kind of borders the Scioto County-Lawrence County line.
Okay.
The 90th district, up until a couple years ago, used to be all of Scioto, all of Adams, and then Ironton, Ohio.
Okay.
And then about 2 years ago, a little bit more than that now, they changed it. It's Scioto, Adams, and half of Brown. So I split that with Representative Byrd.
Okay. So sometime when you're super bored, I'll come out here and learn more about the district from this side of it. But I think it's important with Senator Johnson and 3 state reps that we have a legislative delegation that's working together. Maybe in particular, there's common interest. Obviously there's common interest like taxes, jobs, but also we're all river communities, and there's been devastation because of some of the power plant closures and so forth.
Yeah.
So what are your, Representative Pizzulli, you seem like a young guy. How old are you?
34.
34, okay, so you're a young guy, so you bring in a fresh perspective.
I like to think so.
So by the way, is things like bandwidth and internet a priority for you out this way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so we've actually, the last couple of years, the state has John Husted started an initiative, and in Adams County and my part of Brown, we're supposed to have 100% broadband in the next few years.
Okay.
But Scioto County is a long way away. But sorry, what was your question was?
Well, so I just asked, is broadband, because I know out this way, just driving here, I don't get I can't get cell signal for about 35% of the trip coming out here through Adams County.
You came through Adams County on 125?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's no cell phone service out
so
that way.
It's neat. Let me just ask you a question.
It's God's country.
I got a couple things here that Representative Pizzulli told me he was working on.
Yes.
This wasn't one of them, so I'm just kind of freelancing, giving him some ideas, thinking about this broadband stuff. Let me ask you, are you the kind of being a young guy? Do you think the solution for broadband in rural areas is laying lines or things like Starlink?
I personally prefer the landlines.
Okay.
One being because there's a lot of startup costs, as you probably know, to having a Starlink. It's $500 or $600, my understanding, just to start. And then the monthly subscription is very expensive. But I've heard that Congressman Dave Taylor has a bill and a priority to try to bring down some of those costs for rural Appalachian areas. So I applaud the work that he's doing, but I think that's a step in the right direction. But realistically, to be more affordable, most people in my district, I can say, including myself, are not going to be willing to pay $500 or $600 out of pocket. We can afford more of like $80 a month or so.
So someday, I think then you get to how much does it laying the lines cost? So maybe there's a way that government can partner in a way that's, So now that was something that has nothing to do with what you told me. I asked you what were some of your priorities. So I kind of just went off there.
Yeah.
So you told me to take a look at House Bill 272, which is one of your priorities.
Yes, it is.
And you called it a MAHA bill. By the way, I liked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. before he was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big fan.
So I would listen to podcasts with him, and I was like, man, like 80% of what this guy says I agree with, and so there's things to work on. So why don't you talk a little bit about House Bill 272, how it's MAHA and what some of the goals are?
Well, I would love to. It's the Pure Life Act, I've dubbed it, and there's really 4 main priorities in the bill. You could say it's an extension of the Make America Healthy Again, or as I'm calling, the Make Ohio Healthy Again. The first priority in there is that it bans the use of PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, which kind come from Teflon.
Yeah.
DuPont, which is down the river a ways in
Yeah.
Parkersburg, West Virginia. There's a really good movie called Dark Waters.
Dark Waters,
And
okay.
Mark Ruffalo starred in it. And it talks all about PFAS and the dangers of it and some of the lawsuits that we've seen around the country. But long story short, it bans PFAS, forever chemicals, in cookware. You might not know that you have this Teflon on your cookware, in your carpets, and it actually gets inside of your body and changes your DNA permanently. And it's now, scientists have now found that just about 99% of humans born today have some sort of PFAS inside of them. And it's very dangerous. The second thing that we have in that bill is a ban on all the dyes, red dyes, blue dyes, yellow dyes, green dyes, linked to hyperactivity issues in children. And then some other...
like fluoride is one. Fluoride, local control on fluoride is one of the things in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I think that rather than a centralized bureaucracy from Columbus, it needs to be up to the locals. My bill doesn't ban fluoride. There is another bill in the State House by Representative Dean that would be an outright ban of fluoride. But my bill leaves it into the hands of a local. So if Columbus wants to fluorinate their water, they have that right. It's all about local control.
Well, I think this thing needs more awareness of things that are getting in people's bodies from, whether it's plastics coming off of tires or whether it's coming off of paint. Like paint is one of the big sources of plastics. You mentioned things getting in people, permanently changing them. And then I look at your Teflon pans at home, and when they start peeling off, where do you think that's going to? That's going in your hamburger helper or whatever the heck you're making in that Teflon pan.
Yes, sir.
So you want to be very conscientious of that. And I think a lot of those, there is a reason. I love the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. message of that we have the highest healthcare expenses and the most unhealthy kids of the developed world. And we've got to address that, because if we love kids, we wouldn't be tormenting them. What's your feeling, and I don't want to take you down any sort of, I don't even know if it's a conspiracy thing or something, but that things with lower testosterone dropping in males is connected with things that are getting into their bodies so you believe has merit, or at least needs more research? I think that's a Kennedy Jr. thing.
No, it is a fact that testosterone in males has gone down
precipitously,
significantly. And so something is causing it. And so I agree with his approach that we need to look at everything. Is it one chemical specifically? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. It could be a combination of several things, but we need to actually take a look at this. This is a matter of national security, really. If you have men with low testosterone, it's going to be more difficult to win wars. Having men who can work on farms, and I'm a railroad worker myself. And it's a difficult job if you're battling with low testosterone. It's something that we really need to take a look at.
So you told me you had another bill you mentioned, which I looked up, House Bill 58. That one was a little more vague to me. I couldn't find any other news articles on it. So it had to do with housing, I guess like halfway houses type thing. So why don't you describe a little bit what House Bill 58 is all about?
So in the 90th District, we have a unique issue. We have a very high concentration of what are called recovery houses, because Portsmouth, Ohio was the center of the opioid epidemic. There's a book called Dreamland, which talks all about it.
I'm familiar with that, and you're a lawyer, not that book, but I'm familiar with the lawyer guy that was. This has been a hub of opioid activity.
It has, and there is an issue actually all across the state. It's just that we're feeling it very, I think, more harshly because we're such a small community that we were talking about the opioid epidemic in the late 90s with the pill mills coming in where crony doctors are writing false prescriptions. And so, 20 years before that hit the nation, the opioid epidemic, we were feeling it here.
Living it here.
So the issue right now we have, so if you might not know, your listeners might not know, you have someone who may be battling opioid addiction, and they will be submitted to a rehab, and they need somewhere to live while they're trying to get better. I have personally lost friends and family to the drug epidemic, and so it's something that I'm passionate about, and that's just raising the standard of care.
Okay.
And right now it has been the Wild West. Anyone can get into starting a recovery
So you're
housing
saying I
industry.
could make some cash by it? No.
Yeah, you need this. Yeah, this could be a side
Have
gig.
people live out in my shed?
It's a shame,
Okay.
really. And well, what we've seen is that such a low standard of care. We have literally there has been a facility that the plumbing has stopped working inside the house because the house is not set up for commercial use. And they have patients who are trying to recover from opioids using porta potties out back. The Ohio Department of Health just came down to do an inspection unannounced, and there was a door that fell off the hinges and hit a staff member of the Ohio Department of Mental Health. And they also
While they're doing their inspection.
While they're doing the inspection, and documented that the patient had a mouse in his hand, and he said, "Where did you get that mouse?" He said, "I caught it," and he was keeping it as a pet. And so these are people who are trying to get better. And if you care about people getting better, if you care about this issue, you should support House Bill 58 because we're raising the standard of care, and then we're addressing.
So it's like it would be a certification of some sort,
Correct,
or more more rigorous inspection.
More inspections, more certificates, better standards. You need to have a fire detector. You need to have a smoke alarm. You need to have some sort of accountability. Beds that are up, not mattresses sitting on the floor. We've had that happen recently as well.
Okay.
And so it's unique in the sense that if we were to have a town hall, this is one of the number one issues that would be brought up.
And particularly in this area because of the issues. Okay.
So in Clermont County, I understand the number one issue is property tax reform.
I don't know what I live in Clermont County, and I can't tell you what the number one issue is. But we have, I think in Clermont County, a lot of the issue that I think gets swept under the rug is affordable housing. And I don't mean Section 8 housing. I mean like affordable housing development. You get people that want to have, communities that want to have, only $500,000 houses and above built, which isn't realistic. But but I get you. I'm sure the issues, I know there's a lot of clamoring, a lot in Clermont County of people that want to have a homeless shelter or things like this to deal with because I think there's an increasing population of people that need help. What bothers me, and I'm interested, you're talking about this place here, is that you get outfits that are getting a lot of government money for doing these things, and they basically don't care that much about the people they're there supposedly to serve. And sometimes I say, who raised these people? Who raised people that would put another human being in a situation like this? And maybe they're not getting enough money, and then they should be up yelling at you guys all the time. We can't provide a standard of care that we need to provide to these people. So, but House Bill 58, I haven't seen any coverage of that. So do you feel like that has momentum as a leadership? You got Adam Byrd, he's on the leadership team. Does leadership support you in that bill?
Well, they certainly know it's a top priority of mine.
Okay.
And there's actually about to be a very big article come out soon.
Okay.
That I think will be gaining national and state attention. I've actually spoke with a reporter today.
Okay.
And so I believe that any week he should be releasing it, and it'll be.
I don't know whether your bill's good, bad, great, whatever, but the issue that he's talking about is a real issue. And so I applaud people that try to give them solutions that are to really help versus, I just saw a couple of your colleagues have a bill to basically try to restrict access to public records. To me, that doesn't help. You may or may not support it, but it doesn't help. You're dealing with an actual community problem and trying to have some sort of solution proposed. So anything else? I'm watching the clock here. There's a Scioto County Republican Central meeting going to start in a few minutes. So I pulled him away from his people to do this quick interview. So I want to be respectful for your time. Anything else you want to hit on?
I think you touched on a good point. I like to think my office is accessible, and we listen to the concerns. When I ran a couple of years ago, I personally knocked on 15,000 doors, Chris, and I'm not talking about Clermont County.
Did any of them fall off? Like that?
They did. That's fantastic. I can't say that happened. They didn't fall and hit me like they did at some of the recovery houses in town. But I would go inside people's houses and listen to them, and I take a lot of pride in trying to be a representative of the people. And so I appreciate working on issues like the Make America Healthy Again, but also I'm not necessarily as worried about sexy-looking issues. I'm willing to take on issues that really matter to my district.
So I want to make one comment, then I have one final question for you, because I'd be remiss not to ask it, and it's going to be the most challenging question I ask you.
Okay.
But I observed, I don't know about here, but knocking doors like in the middle of the day.
Yes.
It's kind of stunning how many people are like what I describe as strung out zombie people in houses sometime in Clermont County. I don't know if you get that here, where you can tell this is a weird house, like knocking on the doors. Yeah, in some of the areas.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'd be remiss. It's probably something you might not want to talk about, but you were part of the infamous Blue 22.
Well, I don't know that I was actually.
Okay, because you came in right at that time. Why don't you give a real quick description? I want to let you go, but in a minute or less, kind of,
Absolutely.
What was your connection with the Blue 22? I know you came in as a rep kind of in the middle of that. Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I appreciate that question. I think, so I was appointed May 10th of two years ago, and I came in while Representative Stevens was in office, and he was our friend right next door here in Lawrence County on the border. And I came in and was appointed. Brian Baldridge became the Department of Agriculture director.
You're right. Yeah.
And so we had an empty seat available, and so I was chosen for that appointment. And I had ran back in 2018. I lost that race.
Okay.
I got in between that householder race and Ryan Smith race.
Okay.
And I fundraised personally quite a bit and knocked on every door, and I doubled down. I stayed involved with the party and ran for the Central Committee here. And so when that appointment came open, the party endorsed me here. So did Adams County, and so I had the support of the locals. And so I kind of came in, Chris, in a way where I couldn't win. Right? And so I got associated with all of that. I never voted for Speaker of the House at that.
Okay. So as it stands now, from a standpoint of, I guess you could talk about what's been, and you can talk about what needs to get going forward. Are you consider yourself to be a loyal to the caucus guy at this point? Because I think that was the key Blue 22 thing, is when you got people splitting off to team up with the Democrats to put somebody else in power. Would you describe yourself as a loyal to the caucus guy?
I think I pride myself in being a loyalist of the 90th district, and I'm not dodging your question. It is truly, if you talk to state representatives, I think they would typically tell you he thinks for himself.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, I've got up and testified against bills in the House. This GA, I don't agree with everything going on, but I certainly work to the best of my ability. I did support Speaker Huffman, and you got to work with the leadership. You got to work with the leadership.
It's not a, I don't know if it's a fair question, but if you know me, I would be the kind of person where it's a catch-22 answer, because if you said I'm totally loyal to the caucus, then I'm going to say, don't you think for yourself? And if you say I'm not loyal to the caucus, I'm going to say, because I think it's important. I think I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think what I heard you basically, how I interpreted what you said is, you're loyal to the party and the caucus, but if the party and the caucus are against the interests of your district, you're going to be loyal to your district first and foremost. So that's it.
Absolutely. And
I think that's the way you should be. Right? That's your. Right. By the way, we're standing here in Vern Rife Community Center.
That's right.
Okay, who was a Democrat.
Vern Rife Senior.
Okay, so Vern Rife Jr. was the speaker?
Yes. This is named after his father, who was the mayor of New Boston.
Big Democrats in this area.
Hello.
So these guys flipped at the Republican area. So thank you, Justin. I appreciate you taking the time.
It's an honor.
Have a good time in your meeting.
Thank you. Good to see you.